Jeremy, going to hit start?
Welcome, everyone. I'm Jack Kosakowski, President and CEO of Junior Achievement USA. Junior Achievement is dedicated to inspiring and preparing young people to succeed in the global economy, so we're happy to be here today in hopes of doing just that. Special thanks to the Brian Hamilton Foundation, the Mark Cuban Foundation, and Microsoft for partnering with Junior Achievement on today's virtual event on entrepreneurship. The uncertainty everyone is experiencing at this time is a little scary, but today's topic turns things positive. Our guests are going to answer your questions about entrepreneurship and talk about what you can do to get started in business now and get ahead of the game. Our moderator for today's event is Harris Faulkner. Harris is anchor of Fox News Channel's Outnumbered Overtime and co-host of Outnumbered. Hello, Harris, and thanks for leading today's event.
Hello, Jack, and thanks a lot for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And, you know, I don't want anybody to concentrate on anything other than what we're going to talk about right now. I know that we all have a lot going on, but let's focus on the future and hopes and dreams. I was born and raised as a military brat. I believe that we are resilient and can make all things happen with hard work and a great attitude. So I'm with some great people that are going to take your questions today. First, I want to say that this is a very special summit, and it's about teen entrepreneurship, which you just heard Jack talking about, put on by Junior Achievement, Brian Hamilton Foundation, the Mark Cuban Foundation, and Microsoft. Today, our experts, entrepreneurs, Mark Cuban, Brian Hamilton will answer your most pressing questions. And we've got like 9 students lined up with some pretty good ones. I don't know, they're gonna make your palms sweat, guys. And it's all about starting your own business now. As a teenager, why wait? Go get your blessings. So I'm excited with you guys. First of all, let's meet the experts. Mark, what does your t-shirt say? I have to start with the breaking.
Oh, Max is nicey. If you're into like Instagram and basketball, there's the guy. So I'm giving him some plugs.
I see. All right, because you own the Dallas Mavericks.
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Mark Cuban, investor, owner of the Mavericks, and Shark on the hit ABC show Shark Tank. His first entrepreneurial venture was at age 12 when he sold garbage bags door to door. Brian Hamilton, the founder of SageWorks, one of the nation's first fintech companies. Today, he runs the Brian Hamilton Foundation and Inmates to Entrepreneurs, both national organizations which promote entrepreneurship. His first business was around 10 years old when he did lawn care in the local neighborhood. Gentlemen, this is awesome. So I want to start before we get to questions with this idea of courage and resiliency, because I think we need both right now, and you guys embody that. Come on, you guys tell me, Mark, it wasn't always perfect, right? When you started out?
No, of course not. You know, every entrepreneur goes through trials and tribulations. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? But, you know, I've been fired from companies. I've had companies fail. You know, you name it. I've had my back against the wall down to my last dollar. But, you know, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. You only got to be right once. And then everybody tells you how lucky you are.
It's true.
Ryan?
Yeah, that's funny, actually. Ever since I sold my company, Mark, my IQ points jumped 25.
Yeah, right.
Isn't that true? I would want to address one thing, by the way. I want to get down to where the kids kind of live. I ran a fancy business, you know, a fintech. They didn't even have that name back then. I sold it 2 years ago. But when I got out of Duke, that's D-O-O-K for you guys, I ran a chain of coin laundromats, and I just didn't have any capital. And I don't want to get into all this stuff, but I know there's people listening right now who maybe don't have a lot of money or resources. My father did not graduate from high school. My sister Susan got sick. He had to take part-time jobs. I went with him. Mark, I was down in Southport, Connecticut, you know, land of the rich and famous, when I was about 5, 6 years old. And I ran into these people called entrepreneurs. And I said, that's for me. We were on food stamps. I worked my way through college, blah, 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 all that stuff. But the point is this, what we want to do is open up this thing that you and I have experienced to everybody and let everybody know that they truly can do it, despite where they're coming from. And by the way, love Shark Tank. I'm not super thrilled with the guy, what's his name, without the hair, the mean guy.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, he's a little mean for me, but good show. But one thing I do want to address, guys, is that we don't need to start the fancy business, the technology companies, the inventions. Mark started with the garbage bags. I started doing cleaning out gutters, actually. What's that black stuff in a gutter, by the way, that soot that gets in there? I mean, I did that at a very early age, and you can start there. And Mark, I'm sure you'll agree, when you start out really young, you're learning how to turn cash. You're learning how to deal with customers. Everything that you learn, like athletics, accretes to you, and it will help you later on when you do sort of the big tech venture. Awesome. And you're the trillionaire. And in 20 years, they'll be trillionaires because of time value of money.
Hey, before we get going, I got to show you guys a picture. Tell me if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
That's me, my junior achievement company, selling cookie trays, that big stack there. So that was me when I first got started. Wow. That's where I learned about business, right there.
Second,
Mark, you have a lot.
Yeah.
He has a lot more hair there. A lot more hair.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know with this.
I wasn't sure if that was you or Mick Jagger.
Yeah, yeah, right. With my glasses.
Some going on there. I kind of like that. Right. Gosh, this is going to be great. Let's jump in. Thank you for both of you joining us today. Our message today is for teenagers, and I know what it's like. I've been a teenager, obviously, and I have a teenager in my house, Bella, and she's missing her friends. But she's got this entrepreneurial spirit, and she wanted me to deliver a message, first of all, to all the young students. Yeah, she's only 13, but she's got a message campaign going. And to the 9 students who are going to ask their dynamic questions today. You guys are heroes. You're always the heroes because you are the future. And Bella wanted to remind her old mom that this is difficult right now because you guys are social beings and you aren't able to tell each other your dreams in ways that you probably don't even share them with parents, really. And that's okay. But you need the support and the experience and the example that Mark and Brian set and all their great answers about failure and about success to help you navigate what's coming your way. And the big message today, go do it right now. Don't wait for a date on the calendar or a certain birthday or this. Just go follow your dream. Get practiced at it because you play like you practice. Yep. So go get good at it. All right. And read Mark's shirt. I don't know what it means, but it's good. So we're going to get started. Middle and high school students from across America are ready to ask their questions. The questions are thoughtful and a testament to the work Junior Achievement is doing all across America. The first question comes from Amelia Bell from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Scotty! And it's a great one to get us started. Amelia, you're joining us. Thank you for being with us. First of all, just a salutation, a hello. How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. My question is, since you are both successful entrepreneurs, I'm assuming that you will say that now, and any time for that matter, is a great time to start a business. Obviously, I'm home right now and looking for opportunities. What are some examples of businesses that I can start to do right now?
Go ahead, Brian, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I do want to mention something. I don't want to get into this too much. Mark, I know you've commented on it. I want to be real careful here. 26 million businesses in the US. I am really worried about the small businesses right now, especially Main Street businesses. I'm in Apex, North Carolina, Amelia, looking across the street, a bakery just closed, a great bakery. And I'm really worried that these guys are not getting their money. They're not getting their money fast enough, period. And so I want to be real careful. Right now, you can plan, you can watch this, you can read books, get good, positive mental protein in you about how to run companies. And, you know, you can start planning out your landscaping business or your painting business. Just do something that's going to turn money. So I want to be real careful to stipulate that right now for sort of the grown-up businesses, you know, we've got a lot of people who are suffering right now. It's a tough time. I think absolutely we will get through it at a certain time. But I would say start planning. Some of the economies are opening up as soon as you can go door to door. You can put stuff on Craigslist. Just start turning cash. Remember, again, anything you learn now will benefit you later.
Mark, can I ask a follow-up question on Amelia's behalf? I have a small business of my own. It's a production company. I've always thought that you find the need in the moment and you let your gifts meet the moment. What do you think is a need right now? I mean, this pandemic isn't going to go away. Like, we're not going to get, it will eventually, obviously, but we're not going to get a vaccine next Tuesday.
Right.
And, but there are some areas of need right now. What do you see on the horizon?
So, I mean, particularly for kids, right? If you're 13, 15, 16, 17, whatever, 14, look around, talk to the people around you, right? Ask people what they need. That's the best place to start, because as a kid, what you typically have to sell is your time, and your effort. And so are there things that people need done? So for instance, it might be things like cleaning. As we try to get through this, people are going to want to know that things are clean, right? And so doing some background work and understanding, what ingredients and what disinfectants and sanitizers, whatever, can help a business get clean, or help a car get clean, or help a school get clean, or help a home get clean, or help, whatever in the backyard get clean, so that people have more confidence, and particularly for vulnerable populations. So if you're talking, if you have people in a neighborhood who might be grandparents, or maybe they're vulnerable because they have a pre-existing condition, and you know them because you're their neighbors, and you know them from school or church or PTA or wherever, right? Those are the people you can say, hey, how can I help? And that's the best place to start. And then from there, Harris, to your point, that's where you start to find out the things you're good at, and you start to get better, to Brian's point of getting better at things, because what I found as a kid, and Brian, you hustled as a kid, I hustled as a kid. Once I got confidence in myself that I could sell, and once I learned that selling wasn't convincing, it was helping, finding ways to help people. Because like you mentioned, Harris, I sold garbage bags door to door when I was 12, and it was really simple. Hi, my name is Mark. Do you use garbage bags? I have a box of 100 for $6, and it just started there. So finding something that you're
really good at that.
It was really easy, right? Because I knew everybody uses garbage bags. And if you're into tech, I'll give you an idea for technology. If you've ever used Alexa or Google Home, right? They're really more and more people are using them at home and in business. And particularly now with the pandemic, we're concerned about finding touch-free environments. Mm-hmm. And so doing Alexa scripts are really, really easy. Ooh. They're really simple. And so I don't know how to steer you might like. So there's want to try it? So there's Alexa talking to me right now.
Oh my gosh, I was like, that sounds like Alexa.
Yeah, it is Alexa, right?
Because she said her name. She's so
more and more people have Alexas, right? And so with that, trying to figure out, by learning how to do the scripting in Alexa, which is so easy. You can be 13 and figure that out very easily. And then learning how to write scripts for your family, and then taking them next door and next door and next door, where places where people might have Alexa, and asking to help them, and then going to businesses and that are open still and looking for ways to reduce the touch points in their business. That type of voice computing is going to explode, and being at the forefront is going to be very valuable no matter what your age. So if I was 13 or 14 and really was into business, that would be my hustle.
Wow, that's a dynamic hustle. Amelia, are you taking notes, girl?
Yes, definitely. This is definitely some information that I'm going to consider.
All right, I like that. I also came up with social distancing blueprints, where you sell somebody a box that has strips, you put them out in a yard or at the beach or whatever, you lay the strips out, and it gives you a circle, and it gives you lines in between where you can sit 4 people in that large circle if you space them right. I can't draw, I can barely add, but I can measure that out and make some money. All right, let's move on. Kenan Guan from East Brunswick, New Jersey, which Tony, my husband Tony's with me. That's right up the street. You're getting a whoop whoop, which is very 1984 for my husband Tony. Kenan, take it away. What's your question?
Hi, thank you for having me today. How are all of you doing today?
Groovy.
Since the pandemic began, many major sporting events have been canceled. I'm a tennis player and a huge fan of the sport, and over the summer I usually go to the US Open with my family. So what regulations and guidelines should these major sporting events follow before getting their players back on the courts, and also fans?
All right, Mark, you got to take that one. Let me comment on one thing, though. I want to comment on Amelia. Mark's point, absolutely. I remember meeting a 13-year-old kid, Mark, and I said, what kind of business are you going to start? And he said, I'm just surveying my neighbors. I'm getting out paper surveys. I'm going door to door.
There you go.
There's so much brilliance in that. What do you need? What do you need? Don't go in as an entrepreneur like, I got your answer. Get the question first. You know, and where's the demand? Find the money and ask people. I really want to go back to that. It's a great point. But I'm going to let you take the whole sporting thing. That's your domain.
Okay, so Keenan, first, I'm kind of surprised that tennis hasn't come back already since, you know, by definition, it's social distance, right? You're on either side of the net. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, each player just using their own balls, right? But put that aside, in terms of how we go back, whether it's tennis, basketball, or anything, you know, we're going to let the science guide us, because first and foremost is safety for the players, the essential personnel that need to put on the event, the people, you know, the workers that work in the stands, the ushers that would get you to your seats, and you know, people have to take care of all the logistics of running the stadium or arena. And so once we get to the point where we're getting there, right? Every day we have a little bit more confidence and we learn a little bit more about how to deal with testing, therapies, you know, what's going on with vaccines, et cetera. Once we get there, my guess is that we'll do things where we'll do social distancing, not in the way people think where everybody is 6 feet apart, but we'll quarantine group families together. So if your family, if Kennan's family there's 5 of you, and we're able to confirm that you guys are all quarantined together and living together, then we'll allow you to come to the event, game, whatever, together, and then we'll social distance around you. And as we get better and have more confidence in testing and more availability of testing, then it's not inconceivable to say, okay, Kenan, we're gonna, you know, why don't you guys come here and we're gonna meet at this, you know, initial location. Well, we'll do a quick test and checklist, and you know, you and the family next door can quarantine together. So as we build confidence, we'll be able to sequentially have bigger and bigger groups, and then hopefully we get to a vaccine sooner rather than later. And just my personal impression, you know, because I'm kind of a science geek, so my digging in is that we'll have one much sooner than people are expecting. That I would be surprised if come September that we're already seeing doses of vaccines out going to people, and hopefully the results are great, and that in turn leads us. So by the time, you know, the Open and other events and the next NBA season comes around, we won't have to social distance.
Wow. Did you see Keenan and my face light up when you called yourself a geek?
Yeah,
but I am.
Once a geek, always a geek, man. I'm proud of it.
I love it. Keenan, thank you so very much. I know you're going to be sitting by as well. I'm going to move on to our next student and next question. Tyler Herman of Hamburg, New York, home to Crystal Springs Golf Resort, right? No. Okay, maybe I got that wrong. It's actually near Buffalo. There's a Hamburg, New Jersey. He wants to talk technology, and he's about to ask the right guys about that. FinTech is a word that you basically kind of helped create, Brian Hamilton.
I don't know about that one, but it didn't exist. That is true. That is true.
All right, take it away, Tyler. What's your question?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. So the physical therapy clinic where I work as a receptionist has been looking into an electronic record system due to the recent decrease in available workers. As tech entrepreneurs, what role do you see AI and automation playing in the workplace going forward, and where can aspiring entrepreneurs learn more about these technologies?
Jeez, that's a tough question. I can't answer that one. But on a serious note, I'll take a stab at it. So when SageWorks started, we developed an AI program to take financial numbers and convert those numbers into language. It's used by a ton of banks and accountants now. I know something about this, although nobody knows AI. AI gets thrown around all over the place. I think the key to AI technology is to make sure you're actually solving a market problem. In the early 90s, there was a bunch of venture capital put into AI, and it was like, it became kind of vogue, you know what I mean? It was popular, and the technology really wasn't there, so a lot of money was chasing no problem solving technology. So to me, having been in it, you got to make sure you're solving a very specific problem. Now, on your point, which is good, we know Salesforce, so those guys have done terrific, and it's great technology. What's going on, what you're talking about is, as we gather data, at a customer service center, at a front desk. We're taking that customer data and we're trying to figure out how we can serve customers better with it. And I think that whole area definitely lends itself to AI. Salesforce is doing a bunch of stuff around that. Generically, that's a great place to be. But specifically, remember, we want to solve something for the customer. You know, at SageWorks, we gather tons and tons of data. We were one of the largest repositories of private company data in the US. And I always used to say, so what? You got to actually do something with it to help somebody. So I think we've gotten great at aggregation, but we want to take that data and maybe make their wait time, right, Tyler, at that clinic. Instead of 7 minutes, we make it 5. Now, if we can do that and we make it real, it's tangible, that's where you want to go generally around this field.
So let me try to add something to that, Tyler. As a geek and proud of it, I love to learn this kind of stuff. I mean, I love to learn as much as I can about technology. And obviously, AI is a very important part of what's happening in the future. I mean, literally, you know, nation states are saying that whoever owns and dominates AI is going to dominate the world. And so what I can do is tell you my approach. And so what I've done is do tutorials. And so you can go on AWS, Amazon Web Services, and for free, you can do some of their machine learning tutorials. You can do things like I went on YouTube, right? And I just put in introduction to neural networks and watch the videos. There's places where you can use JavaScripts for introduction to neural networks and do little 3-layer neural networks. But going through these, taking Coursera classes, introduction to AI, introduction to machine learning, introduction to neural networks, no matter how old you are, right? If you can get interested in this and put in the time, it'll give you such an amazing skill set. So to the point Brian made is how people use AI is still evolving because they're trying to figure out where the applications are that work and where the applications are that don't work. And so it can be very, very challenging. But you want to be that person that has done the coursework, if you will, right? Okay. And so, look, I'm obviously not still in school, but for me to compete in business, I have to stay on top of all this. Because as Brian said, there's a lot of people who say they know AI and just talk a good game, and they really don't understand it. So if you want to be one of those people that truly want to have a competitive edge as you go forward, whether it's with electronic health records or anything, go through those tutorials, take those classes, read everything that you can. That's going to be more than 99.99% of the people in business will do, and that'll give you a huge edge.
Yeah, let me comment on that. Really good stuff. Unbelievable. Absolutely right. Because in technology, if you're 10 minutes ahead of a competitor, or you know a little bit more, you know infinitely more. So absolutely. I guess they don't have AI for dummies out there anymore. I guess you can't.
It's out there.
Yeah, because I would.
No lie, Brian, no lie. Harris, in my bathroom, I have a book, Machine Learning for Dummies.
Oh, send it to me. I'm still working on the remote. My husband can't stand it.
But I think the point is very well taken. Staying ahead in knowledge, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievably leverageable, and it just takes some work. And not a lot of work actually. Just got to be a little bit ahead. Absolutely.
Wow, I'm taking some notes. My executive assistant on our TV show Outnumbered Overtime, Jennifer, is watching right now, and I'm asking her to grab some quotes. So some things that I've heard so far: get the question first, assess the need at your starting point. I think that's super, super important. And Mark, you gave a tutorial on how to start their own business and which avenues are great for people right now. We're going to get that out across social media too. So as people watch, if they aren't able to take notes, we're taking notes for you.
Cool.
I don't know how you felt about that answer, Tyler, but you got it all there. And I'm really excited about what's ahead. I've never heard anybody honestly talk about AI like these guys are. Like nobody really knows. Awesome. Nobody will even say the truth about that. Why is that?
That was amazing. I think it's because like Mr. Hamilton, Mr. Cuban said it, not everyone knows what the applications are going to be. So no one wants to take that step out and be incorrect about it. No one wants to take the risk of being incorrect. So I think there's probably a lot of background work being done on it. Like Mr. Cuban said, trying to find the needs to fill. So yeah, I think that could be why we're not getting as many answers, but those are two fantastic answers. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful.
Thanks, Tyler.
And the group that we've had so far, Amelia, Kenan, Tyler, and coming up next, Madison, all of them, They put my teenager self to shame. You guys are amazing, so amazing. All right, Madison, what does the sign say behind you?
Oh, it says "Love dwells here." It's a saying that my family has in our house.
That's so beautiful. You are all meeting Madison Myers from Chandler, Arizona. She wants to know more about funding, and take it away.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so cool to be able to do something like this. So I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, but it does give the impression that you need a lot of money to start a business. How much money do you need to start a business, and how would you recommend businesses that have received financial aid during this time to spend it?
Ooh, that's a great question.
So a couple questions there.
Actually, by the way, my family sign is chaos reigns here. So
yeah, right.
Yours is a lot. Yours is a lot
nicer. Have Mark take this one first. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
First of all, you need zero to start a business, because sweat equity is always the best equity. The effort that you put in is always going to get the greatest results. When companies come on Shark Tank, remember, they're already in business. They're not just starting up. So they're asking for growth capital as opposed to getting started. So when you're just getting started, you know, like Brian was talking about earlier and Harris was talking about, surveying your neighborhood, you know, finding needs to fill, solving pain points. Really, you just have to have your time and figure out how to solve them. So the best businesses are started literally with no money. And let me just say this to those people who think you have to raise money to really, you know, get your business started. And I think, you know, that's kind of a big story that's told in Silicon Valley and other places. But the reality is, raising money is not an accomplishment, it's an obligation. Right? The minute you raise money, it's not your 100% your company anymore. Now you have partners, and your partners have an interest in getting a return on their investment, like you've seen on Shark Tank. You know, and you never know, you might end up with a Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful type partner. So, you know, you've got to be careful. And so you know, particularly for kids in school, your best bet is to find a business that you can start on your own with resources you already have available to you, or that you can already make, and go from there.
I love it. Brian?
Yeah, sure. And Madison, so really, if you want to start a business with virtually no money, a small service company, cleaning business, cutting lawns, doing stuff like that based upon needs in your neighborhood, you can do that for like literally $100, $200. Now, I think Mark's point is really well taken. When we started SageWorks, I had sold a chain of coin laundromats actually to fund my technology business, but I wanted to own my company. That was really important to me, to be able to, you know, run my own company, frankly. And so that took me and a developer and developing this thing called code. And how much does it cost to really do that? You need intellectual property, to Mark's point before. So you can start doing that. And what you'll also find is, when you get sort of maybe the bigger business, or when you're a little bit older, whatever, or even now, the further along you build that company, the more real you are, right? So when you go to an investor and say, well, I've got a prototype, I've got a beta version, I've got an alpha version, beta version, I've got one customer, that's massive. And the valuation of the company is going to go up a lot. So when you get to the point, and you can do it young, there are people who do this even in technology, you got to get real, and that's get the business as far as you can on as little money as possible.
I love it. Madison, you know, I would just say on a quick follow to this, you know, they have so many ways that you can kind of crowdfund and do all of that right now. For the first time, at least in the open era, in my lifetime, the economy is such, and I know we had the Great Recession, but we have 40 million people out of work right now. The economy is such that we're all more on a level playing field. And the thing that seems to separate us, except for, you know, the super, just massive overachiever people that could, you know, MacGyver their way through everything, give them 2 paper clips and they can build a space shuttle. Well, that's not me. But on a financial playing field, we're all pretty even right now. And you know what really separates us out? Our passion, our innovation, our ability to say, you got a problem, I got the answer. And you know, in a way, it's kind of a blessing, because it's going to show us all how resilient we really are. I believe in you, Madison. Go get your dream.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, Madison.
Good luck, Madison.
Thank you.
All right, let's meet Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that right now. We're going to give all of our students a chance to kind of pull into place. And do I have right now Jalen Hudson? Is this you? Is your audio on?
Yes.
Yes, there you are. Okay, I was trying to give you guys a second because I know you got to pull into place. Are you ready to go if I introduce you to the world?
Oh yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay. We know Mark and Brian. They stay ready, so they don't have to get ready, honey. All right. Jalen Hudson is from College Park, Georgia. I want to know your question about opportunity cost.
Well, thank you. First off, I just want to say thank you for having me here. It's my absolute pleasure just to be here to ask you guys my question. My question is, what's the opportunity cost of teens not starting a business right now in this current pandemic?
Ooh.
I'll let you go first, Brian.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So now I'm going to put on my professor boring hat. Here it goes. But opportunity, yeah, which is easy for me, by the way. Opportunity cost is like, so you're doing one thing. What do you give up? What do you give up by doing this path, right? This is why I'm so passionate about entrepreneurship young. And Mark, your story is so similar. I mean, like you, I know a ton of millionaires and billionaires, and they always started young, right? Right now, you can just start things, just turn money, right? And you get to learn. But I guess the point is this. It's not to say you cannot start a business at 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, whatever. You can always start. You can always change, right? But you want to start early because your costs aren't that great. You're just going to learn how to talk to people. Mark, your story was really interesting, going door to door. That's incredible for people, right? You get to introduce yourself just like you're doing right now. This takes guts. I couldn't do this at your age, You're going door to door, you're communicating. And so your costs are not large right now just by trying, getting out and talking to people, taking a partner on and realizing how hard that is, by the way, usually a friend, right? Don't do that. But the costs are very low right now. So now's the time to start. Because you don't have a lot of costs.
Yeah, I mean, to Brian's point, Jalen, what do you got to lose? What year in school are you?
Recently just graduated from Benjamin Banneker High School, and I'm attending the College of Worcester in the fall.
Okay, so you're still going to go to Worcester. You're still going to be a freshman. Everything's still going to stay the same. You're still going to wear glasses. You're still going to be a fun kid, right? What do you got to lose? And by the way, you saw that picture of me, right, from junior Keith. So I'm not knocking glasses at all. But what have you got to lose? And when you have nothing to lose, that's when you have everything to gain. Yeah. And that's where you really don't. Your opportunity cost is really your time, and this is the perfect time for you.
I'm going to take a pause on some of the student questions because I want to ask you guys before we get too long into the process here about some personal journeys as well. But Jalen, I would just say to you, when I started out in the news business, my parents used to remind me that as a little one, like 6, 7 years old, I would volunteer when people would come to our house. I grew up on military bases, so we had a pretty cohesive group of regular folk, like the people my dad was serving with. All their kids knew each other on base. And I used to volunteer to read the paper aloud in case people needed the news.
That's awesome.
And now I make money doing that. Isn't that amazing? But Brian and Mark are right. I don't have those 6 Emmys because somebody loved my work so much that when I competed, they just plucked me. I have those Emmys because I don't give up. Because I've been doing it for so long, it's second nature to me to tell the news. And what they're talking about is make it second nature to you, Jalen and everybody watching, to win using your own creativity and innovation. Make that your reflexive muscle so that when things get a bump in the road, and there's some small businesses, millions of them right now, that, my gosh, it's like Craterville, it's so bumpy.
Yeah.
But those of us Americans who believe in what they're doing and what they represent, hiring 66% of the workforce across America, we want to celebrate them and we want to help them come back. And they may be waiting on government checks, but we're all going to find a way to make sure that that local bakery knows that I'm going to get my bread from there. If they leave it at the curb, if they have me pick it up, I'm smart enough as an American to help them do business. and make that be your flexible muscle. Get a customer base that you can count on. We love what you're doing. Entrepreneurship rocks. All right, Brian, I'm not a professor.
Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, buddy. Good luck to you.
Okay, so I have one question for each of you, Brian and Mark. Thousands of teenagers across the country, and I'm thinking that the number is way north of thousands, just based on the social media that I have seen in the last few days from colleges. If there is one top line message that you haven't already given this hour, a fresh one for us, Mark, what is it?
The one thing in life you can control is your effort. You know, I mean, if you've got a goal and you're trying to get there, go for it, right? If you put in the time, worst case, you learn something, best case, you crush it.
Yeah. So, by the way, if you're all in high school or middle school, whatever, if you can get through that, you can be an entrepreneur. That's really hard. But my message seriously would be, don't, and I mean this, I can't see you out there, but I'm looking at you right now. Do not let people tell you what you cannot do. Do not let people tell you what you can. That is not a cheap bumper sticker. It's the truth. I started a company, an organization, Inmates to Entrepreneurs. We take people who have been in prison. They've been in prison for years sometimes. Get them out and help them start businesses. I have seen miracles. It is very difficult to grow up. You got the internet. We're tech geeks, you know, lots of good stuff, but a lot of junk on the internet. Some bad thoughts too, we know that. But please do not let people tell you what you cannot do. I cannot emphasize that enough. Even today with some of the things we're doing, people still say, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. Mark, how many times have you heard that in your career?
Oh my God.
You can't do that. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And as it turns out, the more people told me I was crazy, the better the company.
Is that true?
Very true.
Yeah, they need to put that in business school.
Yeah, give me an example of that. Like how crazy.
I'll give you multiple examples. So when I got fired from my job and started a company called Micro Solutions, we were a systems integrator, and this was in a long time ago. And we were one of the first people that tried to connect PCs together into local area networks. Everybody would tell me, why do I need to connect my PCs? You know, they were new to them then. So fast forward, I wanted to listen to Indiana basketball from Dallas on this new thing called the internet. And so with a friend, I'm like, there's got to be a way we can do audio over the internet, right? I've got to figure it out. And people are like, you're an idiot, right? We watch television, we got radio, you know, satellite is starting, we have cable. Why would you want to use the internet for audio and video? How did that turn out? Then fast forward 6 years later, I'm like, you know, there's these new kind of TVs called high definition televisions. And they cost $25,000 now to buy any one of them. But I'm like, I'm going to start a TV network because that's only high definition, because I know that the price point of those high def televisions is going to follow the price performance curve of regular PCs. And everybody's like, no one's going to pay $25,000 for a PC. I mean, for a TV. Our TVs that we have, I went into TV studios. They called me an idiot. I went into broadcasters. They were like, high def is not going to happen. I started a company called HDNet, sold it for a lot of money. We were the first all high definition TV network. And so just those are three examples where every time, you know, something turned into a great business, somebody at the beginning. Wow. You're stupid if you try to connect PCs. No one wants audio or video over the internet. You know, no one's going to pay $25,000 for a television when I can buy these televisions we have right now and they work.
Amazing. You know? And by the way, I forgot that you did HDNet. Like, I don't know how I forgot that. You know, I have one quick follow-up question, then we're going to get back to our students. It is, after all, a town hall, but I had a couple of just questions bubble up while some of those teenagers were talking. And one of them had to do with, how do you keep the juices flowing? Like, you guys, SageWorks, HDNet, you've done so much in your careers. Do you wake up, Brian, and just go, I am it? What more do I need? Or do you get up with some other thought on your mind?
All the above, all the above. And anybody who tells you otherwise is not telling you the truth. This gets to a really important point. You need incredible purpose. I mean, people say, you know, some of the high school kids, you know, maybe they should say about me in high school, I was lazy. My GPA was a 1.9, by the way, Mark. Don't have a 1.9. You got to get it higher.
Is that true?
Oh yeah, I was terrible. I was a thing called a football player. I didn't care about academics at all. And it is true. So here's the thing. If you have the purpose, you'll get the drive. I remember, Harris, being in my office, and Scott Ogle, our CEO, came to me. He goes, how do you deal with this stuff? We can't make payroll. We don't know what our sales are going to be next month. How do you deal with this? And I say, look, I took investment money, and I am going to get them their money back, period. Also, very important to be around positive people. So you're in high school now. Maybe someone's picking on you, probably, right? You got the cliques and you got all the stress, and now they got these things called AP courses. Where did they get that? Now I'm in college and I'm in high school. You got a lot of stress on you. You don't need more stress. So you want to be around positive people. I think we might get to it later. I apologize, but a couple of books that changed my life. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Get good positive thoughts in your brain, because things are going to come at you and you're going to get those obstacles, and you need a base that you can sustain yourself with.
Okay, we will hit that later, because I want people to be able to slowly take in that information too about reading, because it's, everybody's in school, so reading is part of their curriculum, and they're much more disciplined about making the time to do that at this point in their lives. One thing about the pandemic, I have never read so much in my life, and it brings me joy. Like, I finished a book, I was reading one by Gabrielle Union the other night. Have you read it, Mark?
I haven't read it, but I know Gabby. Yeah.
We're going to need more wine, and it's a very, it's raw and it's real, and I loved it. And I can't remember the last time that I literally sat and said, I'm not getting up till I'm finished with this book.
That's awesome.
And I know as teenagers, because I live with one and a preteen, you're at that discipline point for reading. So we definitely want to hit that. All right. Are we ready for some more students?
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, let's do it. From Fairfax, Virginia. I wanted to be a basketball announcer just for a second there. Linda Wu. Linda Wu, thanks, is here. She's interested in how your first businesses led to more opportunities. Welcome, Linda. Ask your question.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here. A little bit nervous, but like Mark, I am now a JA alumnus, and I am so grateful to have had that opportunity to learn and grow from starting and running my own business. And my question is, had you guys been operating your business in a current health pandemic like this one, what is one piece of advice you would give yourself?
I mean, we're operating a lot of them. All those Shark Tank companies, we're having to deal with that every day. And, what I'm telling them all and myself is, one, be transparent. Everybody's fearful. Like Harris mentioned earlier, everybody's afraid. We're all facing this equally. Two, be honest. You got to be transparent. You got to be honest. And three, communicate and listen. And so, some of the best ideas now are going to come from people who are on the front lines. And so whether you're a retail store, whether you're in sales, whether you're in technology, the people who are closest to your customers, everybody's commiserating, right? We're all, everybody's discussing, the challenges, the plus and the minus, mostly minus right now, of going through this. And so I'm telling everybody to listen to your frontline people, because that's where the best ideas are going to come from. This is going to be a bottom-up recovery rather than a top-down. I think Brian mentioned it earlier, don't just be that entrepreneur that tells everybody what's going to happen, because now we're dealing with so much imperfect information. And when you deal with imperfect information, you make imperfect decisions, and you're not going to be able to get perfect information. So, what I would suggest, Linda, is talking, listening, being transparent, being honest, and out of all that, you're going to find ideas that allow you to drive your company in the direction you need it to go.
Quick follow to Mark on behalf of Linda. What do you mean by it's going to be a bottom-up recovery, not a top-down specifically?
Because I think we need consumer demand. Those two different questions there, right? So in terms of the macro basis, in order for the economy as a whole to recover, we need consumer demand. And we need businesses to have customers and sales, because no business can survive without sales, no matter what the programs are that the government introduces. And so we need to make sure that employees have jobs, that people have jobs, because when they have jobs, that gives them confidence in order to spend money. So that's on the macro side. On the micro side, for individual businesses, from the bottom up means we need to talk to our employees who are the feet on the street, the people that are talking to your customers, that are talking to your prospects, because they're the ones that are having the open and honest conversations with the people that make the buying decisions. You know, whether you're a clothing store or a restaurant or, you know, you're mowing lawns, if you don't understand how your customers' needs have changed, you can't be agile and you can't adapt. And so talking to them is really, really important right now. And again, being honest and transparent is important because you want them to know that you don't have all the answers either.
Right.
Great stuff. Linda, are you getting a lot out of this?
Definitely. I think one of the best ways to learn is just for me to take in all the information from people that have been through everything and have been successful doing it.
Well, that would be these two. Brian, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, to Mark's point, radical honesty. We were always radically honest with customers and employees. Appropriate. You have to be a leader. You have to do it the right way. But here's what's going on. Here's the plan. Get some feedback. By the way, listening. We need our leaders to listen, really. Seriously, got 2 ears, right? 1 mouth. Good proportion. Listen more. Listen to people. That's how you grow, by getting information. Not like a lot of what we do now is I talk, right? I'm talking and talking and talking. But in business, you want to be talking to your customers. What can we do more? Employees, what can we do more? One thing I want to add, though, to the question, I think it's important, is that learn to control what you can and learn to throw out what you can't. That's a big deal. You got a lot of stress. You're in school. You got homework, parents, brothers, sisters, relationships. You got the internet. You might have a business right now. What can I control and what can't I? Throw out the stuff you can't control. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control the Congress. You can't control the president or the principal. You can control what you're learning. You can't control what you do every single day. So what I like to do, because we all got stress, right? We've been through it. It's like a big ball, those rubber band balls, you know, those from Office Depot. You want to learn, separate the stuff you can't control and just focus like heck on what you can control. And you can control a lot, and you can certainly control your thinking.
Wow, that is powerful stuff. You guys are like bumper sticker heaven. I love it.
I don't know if that's
so
good.
true, but I don't know if it's good or bad, Harris.
I don't know if it's
great.
I don't know if
I'm going to need more cars so I can stick more bumper stickers on them. Linda Wu from Fairfax, thank you so very much for being with us. Sophia Moreno is from Tempe, Arizona, and she has a question about pitching. I assume you mean ideas, that sort of thing. Hello.
Hello, hello, Mark and Brian. It's a pleasure to be able to ask you questions today. And yes, I'm asking about pitching today, not from softball, but in business. For the past 6 years, I've had my own personal sewing business, and I know it's challenging to get your sales pitch just right and your customers on the same page. If I was going to pitch something on Shark Tank or to a potential customer, how would I prepare for that pitch?
It's really simple. You just put yourself in your customer's shoes. You put yourself in the investor's shoes and ask yourself, you know, what is important to them? And if you're able to understand that customer's business, their customer's needs, and then really determine how your business fits in supporting those needs, pitching is easy because you're just saying, okay, how can I help you? And then figuring out how you can help. And that's typically people want to do business with that. When you're pitching to an investor, it's almost the same thing. You know, what's the skill set of the investor? What value can they add? What have they historically done and not done? And how do you fit? And part of that is taking the responsibility to be brutally honest with yourself, because you're not going to always be a fit with everybody. And particularly with investors, there are just some investors that, you know what, going in, you know, you probably don't pitch the ones you shouldn't pitch. So do your homework, know where your value proposition is, know what you can do to make that investor or customer understand your value proposition, show how you're unique and stand out and are differentiated. Because when it's all said and done on the pitch side, investors want to know that there's something unique and special and different so that you can compete in ways that other companies can't.
Wow. And I saw that. Did you get that, Sophia? Don't pitch the people that you shouldn't be pitching. And I think as a teenager, as a kid, Brian, my follow-up to that on behalf of Sophia would be, well, you know, most kids can get listened to because they're young. But as you start to talk and look at the world as a customer base and you want to, you know, earn their money, that's a different conversation too than, hey, mom, dad, you want to hear my idea?
Right. Absolutely. And expect a lot of rejection. You're going to get it. Absolutely. I can't tell you, Mark, I don't know your path totally, you know. Mark Cuban for president on that last comment, by the way, about seriously being the other person, be the other person, get in their shoes. What do they want? What's important to them? Especially, by the way, with customers, be the customer. We were crazy about that. We went to the customer's place of business. We sat with them. What's important to you? What can we do to make the product better? Be obsessed with that, being the other person. You know what you want. You don't need that information. You got to go figure out what do other people want. But I would say this on one thing regarding pitching, and I've done it a lot, Mark, I'm sure you have. You are going to get rejected a lot, a very lot. So it's a numbers game. You'll get better at it, like public speaking. You get better at it. You do it over and over and over. You learn, but you're going to get rejected. You have to talk to a lot of people. You really do.
You know what I would tell myself every time I was pitching, and you know, you go in and you get shot down and it's painful, and I would just tell myself every no gets me closer to a yes. And so I got to go get that next no, because right around the corner, somebody's going to say yes, because I truly believe in what I'm doing. And when you truly believe in what you're doing and you have that confidence and you know what's good, it's their mistake, not yours.
Amen. Tony, go buy me another car. I have some bumper stickers. That's my husband.
Well, thank you so much. I think that's truly invaluable information for America's teens today, saying like Mark said, every no could lead to another yes. So Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you, Sophia.
Thank you, Sophia. Good luck. All right.
Harris, our next question is from Malika.
Okay. Let's get to.
It doesn't look like Malika.
Oh, yeah.
That's not that late, but we're going to get to, and we saw Malika for like a heartbeat about 40 minutes ago. I'm glad she's back. This is Malika Manikantan, and she's from Edison, New Jersey, and she wants to know more about how each of you got your start. Go ahead, take it away, Malika.
Hi, thank you for having me. I would love to hear about the first business you each started. Mark, I know you sold garbage bags door to door, and Brian, you were doing lawn care. I was wondering if when you both did that, did you take the economy at the time into consideration? And similarly, what kinds of businesses do you see coming out of the current economic situation?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that's a great question, Malika. I never thought about the economy ever, and I still don't. Unless it's going to be a big enterprise. And it's a little different right now. But I focused like heck on the neighborhood. There was a trailer park down the street from me. I'd go down there, talk to the people. What can I do of value for you? So I never focused on that at all, because the economy is going to come and go. Now, to the second part of your question, which is a good one, the truth is there's a lot of companies suffering right now. That's just a reality, and that's we just got to get real about that. If you're running a bakery or a restaurant, how about a hair salon? It's very difficult, right? But right now you can plan out where are the creases that you can get into. Online learning, stuff like this type of technology. Anything around technology, because you're at an age right now where you have a learning curve. You can start learning about this stuff right now, but there's always opportunity. You can always get it. You just got to look, and you got to talk to a lot of people. What are the needs out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've never, like to Brian's point, I've never looked at what the economy was. There are times, I mean, my first company, I didn't realize there was a recession when I started till years later. I've never looked at tax rates. You know, I just wanted to go, right? I just wanted to get started and see what happened, because just getting that experience really just taught me so much. And so I really never looked at the extraneous stuff. In terms of now, with everything that's changing, I think Brian might have alluded to this earlier, you know, there is no better time to start a business, because big companies are struggling to, you know, figure out how to retain their legacy businesses. Medium-sized companies, the same thing. Small businesses, they're kind of stuck because they have to upgrade to try to fit what the new normal is, and they have to try to figure out how to get their employees back, because you know there's just all these different rules and regulations and incentives that have kind of backfired. But if you're starting from scratch, you don't have any of those worries. You get to hit them where they ain't. Right, you get to fit in and do in ways that really there's nobody nobody who has a business that's more than 6 weeks old who considered a pandemic when they started.
Yeah.
You have that opportunity to start a business knowing what's going on. That allows you to be more efficient and to be more direct and to find new types of solutions without having to worry about your previous business or where it was. So that's a unique opportunity. And going back to what we said earlier, what have you got to lose? You know, now is the absolutely perfect time to find things. And then I'll add to that again, you're digitally native, right? Everything digital is comfortable to you, right? You grew up with it. You didn't have to adapt to it. iPhones,
That's a great
Zoom conferences, right? So finding new ways to do things digitally is going to be a lot easier for you. And I think that's where a lot of opportunities are going to be. If you look at the history of this country, we were all agrarian. It was all farms. And then it was all manufacturing. Then we started to go digital with the semiconductor, and we got to the internet, and we became kind of a hybrid of physical and digital, right? You'd buy things online and the physical component. Now we're evolving to where it's almost all digital, right? You can buy anything on Amazon and it just shows up. You don't have to go to a store. You don't have to have touch points anymore. And so that's a lot more comfortable to you. Training people, teaching people, supporting people, helping people. It's natural for you to do it via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. That's a huge advantage for you and kids to do right now. So look to those advantages that you have. And you know, as horrible as this is, what we're going through, when you look back 5-10 years from now, hopefully you're going to say, you know what, this was a unique opportunity and I took advantage of it and created an incredible business, you know, and I'm going to be there the next time with Brian and Mark talking about what I did.
Wow, 10 years from now with you guys. That sounds like fun. I'll be really old. Malika, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Thank you so much.
Oh, so good to have you. Thank you. All right. No, I love that because at that point, my 13-year-old will be 23, and I'm hoping that she does some of this stuff because she's entrepreneurial in her spirit. Aiden Lawley is in Durham, North Carolina. He started out in car washing and then moved to landscaping to Christmas lights. And now, after those Christmas lights lit the world, he's into social media marketing. Aiden, welcome. What's your question?
Hey, thank you for introducing me. I really appreciate the opportunity the Brian Hamilton Foundation has given me to be here today. But I would like to add that between the ages of 10 and 13, I'd gotten into more of the digital side of entrepreneurship, including selling products on Amazon, outsourcing products from China, and drop shipping, which I believe were important stepping stones that I should include. So my question for you guys is related to my new venture in media marketing. I've recently landed my first few clients and I want to be able to grow consistently and get over all the hiccups and different problems that will pop up. So the first question is, so what's your advice on consistently growing, getting new clients and just growing in general? And secondly, kind of relating to managing my time, because in my last lighting company, I found myself working over 80 hours a week while in school. So the second question is kind of how do I balance business and school?
Okay. You know what I may do? Just to split this up, I'm going to have the guys answer your first question first, and then we'll get to life balance in a moment. Brian, you want to take that on just growing and consistently doing so?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but our first big license deal was with a company called Intuit, QuickBooks, Quicken, all this stuff. And I learned so much from that company. We had about 10 employees and the founder, Scott Cook, just radical listening to customers and getting feedback and let them direct your market, Aiden. That's the key. Now, I know it sounds so simple, and a lot of things in life are simple to say. They're hard to do. But if you really want to be successful, you're interviewing the customers, reading research, and follow the customer and be just a maniac about that. And they will tell you where the money is. I know that sounds generic, but it's absolutely true.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So Brian, how old are you? I mean, Aiden, rather, Brian.
16, sorry.
I'm 26, Mark, I'm 26.
Yeah, we're the same age, Brian, I love it. And what platform are you working on, Aiden?
like what am I marketing on? Like,
yeah, are you using Instagram? Are you using TikTok?
Instagram, like all the social media platforms, Google Analytics, Instagram, Facebook, everything.
Okay, so and you've got 3 clients right now that are influencers?
Yeah, I've got a few clients right now. I've got a school that I'm doing some marketing for, and then another program called Audacity Labs. It's kind of just trying to get more.
Okay.
More students.
So you're not marketing influencers. You're helping your clients get online and get a stronger and more impactful social media presence.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the key to that then is making sure that your customer understands what the expectations are, right?
Cool.
So that, I used to have this thing called the document of understanding, because I was really early in technology, and people didn't understand it. And so I'm talking to you on the screen. I need to be talking to Kim. And so people didn't really understand what we were trying to accomplish when I would tell them, here's what I can do. And so you need to focus on the same thing, making sure that what the customer wants is what you're trying to accomplish, and having some sort of metrics so that when you do what you think needs to be done, they have the ability to determine that, yes, you did exactly what they expected you to do. Because that's the challenge with social media for traditional companies. It's hard for them to know for sure if they've accomplished anything, because just adding more users, getting more likes, just having more content, that doesn't necessarily translate into all the things they want to accomplish. So in terms of growing your business, if you're able to make sure that what you're trying to accomplish and what the customer wants are perfectly aligned, then they're going to be happy. And like I did in my business, like Brian did in his business, once you have one customer that is happy, and like you did in all your hustlers, dude, you're a grinder. I like that, right? You're going to be grinding and learning and pushing all the time, and that's a beautiful thing. But once you've got customers that are happy, then you ask them for referrals. And then you use them on, when you go in to sell to other customers that you may bring in, you might say, hey, look at this school, look at the work I did, talk to this person at the school, because they'll tell you what a great job I did. So setting expectations, delivering on expectations, asking for a referral, rinse and repeat, going on to the next one.
All right. And Aiden's second part of his question was about balancing, right? Because at one point you told me you were working, 80 hours a week?
Yeah, 80 hours a week when I was doing my lighting company just a few months ago.
That's hard. Yeah,
Wow,
that's really hard. Where are you in school, Aiden? We're neighbors.
Yeah, you live in Apex. I go to school in Durham, and I live in Cary and Apex. Okay. So I go to school at this little private school it's a startup school in Durham. It's like a little micro school. It's called Insight.
The high school though? High school?
High school, yes.
Yeah, okay.
10th grade. I just had a little school called Insight.
Yeah, well, do well in school. You know that. That's why your parents are on you about all this stuff. It's true. There's a very strong correlation between school and life success. Absolutely. So you want to err towards school if you're going to, but it's hard to balance that stuff. I worked my way through college and graduate school through businesses, and I know what you're going through, but of course you enjoy the business stuff, but you got to do well in school. So I don't know. You'll get a feel for the ball on that probably.
Yeah.
Same answer. I mean, make sure you get it done in school, right? Yeah. Because that's how your parents are going to be happy or unhappy, right? And you just don't need the stress of not doing well in school, right? Because you're always wondering, okay, how am I going to get my grades up? Take care of that first. And because you're doing social media, you can do that around. You can work to create your time around schoolwork, and so that works out really well. So you can be really, really flexible in how you use your time, and look, the other thing is about being 16, there's always stuff that you're doing that you could cut back on. That's just, the fun stuff, right? How much Fortnite are you playing? How much 2K are you playing, etc. And just trying to take some of that slice and applying it to your business. But let me just add, right? Fortnite and Minecraft, they're becoming great social media platforms, right? You saw what Travis Scott did with his concert. You're going to see the NBA is going to be doing a lot more of that stuff too. So, I'm not saying it's bad to do that. I'm not saying it's bad to spend time on YouTube, etc. Because that's part of your business now. You've got to understand that and learn it. But, just playing the game is different than learning the game, right?
Interesting. That's a great point.
I'm impressed he knows those games. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, I gotta know this stuff.
Come on, Mark Cuban's the cooler side.
I don't. I know Pac-Man. I think Pac-Man or something like
that. Yeah, right.
Oh,
what was the one? Yeah, you know what? Me and you, Brian, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, right? We're right there.
Oh my gosh, you guys are just scaring me. So when we sing "Why Is Everything Chrome," these guys are looking at metal. You scare me. So Aiden, you know, you and I talked with each other a little bit on the tech run through. We had one student kind of do that with us, and Aiden was chosen to do that yesterday. And I had a thought for you just in terms of school. And I wrote down what you said, Brian, a strong correlation between school and success. Whatever level that you get to, you need to be the best at that level. So if high school, if it's college, if it's grad school, setting the bar for yourself academically makes everything else in your life easier. You know, I look at my teenager, when she wants to leverage, she's a straight A student. It's hard not to say, wow, that is a great idea. And I don't just mean in terms of your parents, I mean in terms of life. People like to they like to support successful people. They do. I'm sure Mark and Brian can speak to this. When you walk into the room and, well, when I tell people I have 6 Emmys and they say, well, what did you do? I'm like, well, how much time do you have? Because I did it all. And when these guys, when you look at them and being successful, even when they were running a laundromat, even when whatever it was academically, they were excelling, because when you walk into the room and your hardware is strong, and I mean the hardware between your ears, people are impressed by that. You've been able to do something that the playing field is pretty even. We can all read a book, but if you have retention capabilities that are different than everybody else, if you have basically a photographic memory, it's amazing how much breaking news you can do, right? You only have to see something once. So go get your grades, go do all of that, and the balance will come. By the way, you don't have to do it all by yourself. You can get a partner in school. We haven't talked much about that. It does require that you share your resources and your benefits, but that can be okay too, because at your age, it's about getting the experience as well and practicing, so that when you do go play big and open that business up that grows from the one that you're creating the practice ground on now, you'll be even better. I'm excited for you, Aiden. Go get your dreams.
Thank you so much. Good
luck, Aiden.
Thanks, Aiden.
All right, now comes to the part of the program where I'm saying, again, I want to thank everybody, but I also want us to talk just a little bit about something, maybe 1 or 2 things that you think are a good read. Brian, you touched on this earlier. What are 2 things that you think are a good read for our teenage viewers right now?
Yeah, I'll go back to them. I mean, it changed my life. Unbelievable. Think and Grow Rich. The idea that what you think about will change your path, by Napoleon Hill. It changed me. And man, it really did. It's an easy read. It's like 100 pages. It's really easy to read. But I really love that book. It's about 100 years old. Many, many successful people talk about it. How to Win Friends. I'm going slower. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Also Game Changer, Communication, How to Treat People. By the way, there's a lot of junk stuff out there on the internet. A lot of good stuff, but some junk. The idea that if you're going to be rich, if you're going to be wealthy, you got to be greedy. You're a bad person. I am sure there are very wealthy people who are, quote, bad people. I haven't met any. If you go out and you start a business, you got to create value, way more value than you're going to get. So you got to be the good person, right? You got to do what's right. You got to create value, and then you get that value, and then you sell your business. So you really got to play the right way. Of course, we're human. We got frailties. I do, absolutely. But the entrepreneurs I know who make it are good players. They play the right way. Most of them. I'm sure there's some bad players out there.
All right.
But you got to do it the right way. So get that positive information from other people.
Okay, so the 2 books there are Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and the second one is?
How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Got it. All right, your 2, Mark?
I'm not going to give 2, Harris. I'm gonna take you down a different path.
All right.
Read whatever looks interesting to you related to business.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I've read both books that Brian recommended. They're amazing, right? And when I was younger, they certainly inspired me. I even took a Dale Carnegie class, and they were great. The same building as Junior Achievement was in. That's why it was easy for me to do. And they were great. But 1, find books that are interesting to you. I always like to read biographies about business people. That was interesting.
Me too.
And 2, and this is something I've changed a little bit on. I was talking to my 10-year-old son, he was 9 at the time. And I've always tried to push my kids to read. And my son was just like, Dad, I'm not a big reader. And then not long after that, he asked me a question about Shark Tank. And he was like, Dad, why don't you like royalty deals? I'm like, do you know what a royalty is? And he explained. And I said, well, you know, there's not enough, you're using up some of your gross margin dollars, and I'd rather retain all my gross margin. Do you know what your gross margin dollars are? He goes, yeah, gross margins are da 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 da. And I'm like, where did you learn this? And he goes, well, I watch a lot of business videos on YouTube. And so I'm having to adjust for my kids and other kids that I work with to recognize learning from YouTube videos, you know, that are oriented towards business, right? That geared towards education is not necessarily a bad thing. So where I grew up, you know, my parents like either you're reading or you're done, right? And every reward I ever got was built around how many pages I was reading, how many books I was reading, and that paid off really well for me. But today kids are learning a little different. We didn't have access to videos like that. And so, you know, now read everything you can on topics you're interested in. And it's not a bad thing if you can go online and find biographies about business leaders, find biographies about inspirational people that you find are interesting. That's a good thing too. Wherever you can consume knowledge, that's always a good thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I want to say thank you to all of the students today for asking all of their fantastic questions. A shout out to the Brian Hamilton Foundation, the Mark Cuban Foundation, Microsoft for hosting us today. Thank you to our experts, Mark and Brian, for being so generous with your time from your home. Just fantastic, you guys. And everybody who signed up for today in this event will receive a link to the recording of today's summit so that you can watch and write down those notes that I was talking about. On my social media, I'll be putting them all out. Jennifer's getting them all out right now. It's just Harris Faulkner across all platforms in case there was a quote or something. And when I tell you that my next business is going to be, I want to do magnetic bumper stickers, but everything is so like fiberglass now. I'm going to have to come up with a different way of capturing all of the fantastic little blurbs that you guys have given us. It has been a volume. In fact, if you guys write a book, I want to be in line to get that signed. So thank you, everybody. Teenage years are those years when we become who we can be. Don't stifle yourselves in any way. Take it all in. Today's experience is one of many that you should be looking to have at this point. You're in control and you are resilient, and I believe in you. Mark and Brian, everybody, thank you for being here. Bye.
Thank you, Harris. Nice to meet you, Mark.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harris.
Bye-bye.